Well, hello there, and welcome to round two of the BUSR's F1 Summer Championship. So, lovely to see everyone again. And joining us is Cameron. So, hello there.
Hello, first time in the comms box.
Well, lovely. We'll keep you nice and warm here at home, as it is a very, very warm evening from us from the UK, and hopefully you're having a lovely time around the world. So, after round one, we saw a number of we had our first results on the board. So Tom Roberts is going to be leading the pack, followed by Josh and Ben Mills. Now tonight we're going to be going to somewhere else in the world, and so we're going to be going to Jeddah, and with that it's also going to be our first sprint round of the championship. So Cameron, how do you feel about Jeddah in terms of F1 and the F1 game itself?
I mean, in terms of the actual track, it's a more of a hot lapping track. Qualifying is always exceptional to watch. I think with the racing, we'll see a lot of flipping down the back straights, just trading positions with DRS. Not much you can do, unfortunately, till the end. Um, yeah, I'll be interested to see because in the game this year, dirty air is more of an effect. So we'll probably see a bit less than we have before. Um, the last game been here, I think, once or twice. And yeah, there was a lot of just textbook trading places, but I think we'll see a bit less of that. No Tom or Ben Mills tonight, so there will be a little bit more of a split up pack. I think should see a
Yeah.
cracking race for P2.
Yeah, so one thing about Jeddah, and is going to be something very apparent. It is very much a street track, so you're going to be seeing those walls coming thick and fast. So it's all going to be down to whether or not drivers can keep it nice and clean across the whole race sprint, especially during qualifying. Make sure you don't hit those walls because if you hit a wall fast, it's going to be a very quick end to whatever session you're in. And though it is a sprint, so you have second opportunity in the actual race itself, got to be careful, keep it clean to get to the end.
I'll just get the second qualifying. We are on the new format as well, so drivers are just readying up, so we will be going momentarily.
Yeah, don't worry. We are not tactically stalling. We're just waiting out for drivers to get themselves ready for what is going to be an interesting night. And I tell you now, I'm already sweating already from the conditions. Just for reference, for anyone around the world, in the UK, it's in the high 20s, and because of our humidity, it is horrible.
Feels like
It's absolutely
50.
horrible. Yeah, indeed, and it's for the drivers as well, because we have a lot of UK drivers as well. They're going to be feeling it as well. So uh, definitely later into the evening, you're going to be seeing these people potentially making more mistakes, potentially making more problems for themselves just because of how difficult these conditions
I
are
mean, there's a
back at
there's a
home.
reason I'm here and not
Yeah, yeah,
not in my race suit.
absolutely.
Yeah, we are live.
Well,
12 minutes. Let's see.
yeah,
Alpha made.
yep,
Oh well.
go for it. No,
Stake
go
now.
for it, Cam.
Stake now. Um, of Edie heading out first. So
Yeah, you're
here we
gonna see the
go.
first couple of cars come out here on this very snaily beginning of the circuit, and then we're just gonna go straight into these flat out corners here. I think when we go around, I think Cam, you are probably the best person to be explaining this sort of place. But right now, just drivers coming out, and what I always find interesting about
Oh,
this qualifying is someone just skips the corner, no problem.
there is
Who
an
cares about
apex there.
track
We
limits?
swear. Yeah,
No,
no.
but no, I was gonna say, Cam, what I find interesting about this qualifying is it's in the daytime.
Yeah, so it's essentially replacing the free practice sessions. So yeah, it is different scheduled times. It may be that they are just running it on midday, but oh, yeah, just trying to
Yeah.
get round for a lap. So
Well, I think the game doesn't really punish too much in terms of trying to have a valid outlap. So you might see some drivers doing exactly what you're seeing here, which you wouldn't see in real life, and it would actually dirty the tires quite a bit. But just trying to get a lap here as quickly as possible as Edie is going to be staying up for that light. I'm going to say to you, Cam, take us away on a lap of Jeddah.
round a
And
lap of Jeddah. So
absolutely.
setting up the final corner. Normally we see them a little bit slower on the entry. Flat out DRS activated to down to turn one. Turn 1, hard braking zone. On this game, it is new with how much curb you end up cutting. So we'll see. Yeah, straight across the inside, and notably the turn 2 now. Hard traction zone, it's rear left limited. And then this one is very, very blind, especially with the sausage curb on the exit. And very, very easily get caught on the curbs here. Just taking it nice and gentle, stay well away from the curbs. And that's so far, well, purple. Obviously being the only driver to get around the first sector. Coming up here, again, it's another blind corner with quite a nasty sausage curb on the exit. Just sliding the rear a little bit, so nice and clean so far. Staying away from the wall. ID banker. Purple again, obviously first car. Oof. Did that look a little loose to you there?
Looks a little bit. I mean, they're going to be wanting to put as little wing as possible. The F1 game, especially F1 25, still has quite a lot of rear grip, so they're going to be trying to put as minimal wing as possible on these setups. So you will see these cars break loose, and I suspect when we're going to go into race trim, that's going to be even more difficult to manage later. As we're going to see Edie saying the first time on the board. We're going to see for the others to do as Alpha gets another position, as we're going to see them coming through quickly.
Yeah, I think the benchmark will be probably around about the low 27s, potentially into the 26s. See what the grip levels are like. Obviously, Josh Woolley will be the one to watch. Just about to start his lap, so if we stay on board with him, currently championship favourite based on number of races missed. This will be the one to watch.
Yeah, Josh being a formidable opponent, one of our faster drivers in the series, will be looking to try and get the win with, of course, many of his competitors not being present this evening, as some will, as we're going to be seeing some yellow flags coming out on Sector 2 with that long corner of turn 13, slightly banked corner at the very end of the circuit. Does allow a little bit of different lines in the race. We'll see if it's really important, as we're going to be seeing Josh going into that turn 13. As you can see, slightly banked, a little bit more, allows for a little bit of different angles. But you want to go on the outside, you want to carry as much speed as possible going
And
into
that,
this next Sector 2
draw your
section.
attention, that is Jamie Stokes. He's hit the wall at turn 4. Won't be able to get on board with it with either of the McLarens as they go past. I dare say that's probably turning in too early.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's going to be our first casualty of the evening. Again, these corners will be going thick and fast, and if you make a mistake, there is not much runoff, and it looks like Jamie has already created a bit of a problem, especially if those lap times will be getting faster.
Here we go. This will be the one to watch. I think he's picking. That's a nice toe as well. He's got there to round out the lap.
Yeah, we'll be helping him a little bit, pulling the car along, and that's going to be a 127.1, putting nearly a second gap between him and second place. He's going to be very happy with that already.
Yeah, I did predict low 27s. I think I'm fairly on the money there. That's a very, very comfortable banker from him.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see a couple of drivers now going back into the pits, getting a new set of tires and putting themselves in another position to go for another lap. I think one of the things that I was told coming into this round is because it's a sprint round, they're not going to have as many tires. So I don't know how it feels about sprint rounds and tires, but how important is it to make sure you don't use too many tires across this whole
I
race
mean,
weekend?
it was on 23. It was tight just with the one qualifying session. You'd only end up with one set of mediums for the race. Obviously, these are all 4 wheels sliding there. I have to be backing off the lap there. Yeah, no, all 4 wheels sliding. Yeah, what with Owen here. Yeah, as I was saying, we only got one set of mediums, and so you'd almost have to end up running the softs in the sprint race. Very, very tight on some tracks. That problem's only going to be worse here. They will have to run the mediums with higher tire wear, which is going to leave them kind of the same position. Oof. Owen just getting caught on the curb there on his push lap.
Yeah, that set of corners going into the 7, 8, and 9. It's going to be one of the trickier things because seeing the onboards, especially the faster drivers, all four wheels do tend to break traction. And while you're having to talk, Ender has also made a fatal mistake and has also crashed out of his session. So we've got two people out, and we're only a couple of minutes into the session already. And looks like SK is set an invalid for now. It's going to have to go again. And Wooly is still keeping that position as everyone is in the pits. I suspect to go for one more lap later in the session. But as you said, if tires are tight, there isn't going to be many opportunities to improve here.
Same point with the new linear deg rates. Only fix mistakes on a second lap now. You can't go straight faster if your first lap was clean. So you are forced into running multiple sets. Strategy from the last few games. Go for a double run. The confidence you gained in the second run would outweigh the initial degradation on the from the first set. The Geek is lining up that wide textbook line for starting laps. Yeah, the double run's no longer a overly viable strategy other than fix mistakes.
Okay, so it's going to be really difficult for a lot of these drivers, and if they have pitted and they haven't gone for another fast lap, and we've got another 3 minutes 20 in the session, we're going to be looking on board with Geek currently out here, one of only, well, actually, one of only two drivers currently out at the moment, with Woolies trying to set another lap already. I don't know if there's much need of improvement if it's going to be that far much, but Geek needs to get something on the board. It only has a 149, they pretty much a out lap. It's going to need
It's,
everything, guys. 1.9 seconds already in the first sector already.
they survive sector one, having a little bit twitchy on the rear ends there. The car unloads over the banking. I think it'll be interesting where the curbs are because they are very different this year. Um,
Oh,
and new to the game. I think pretty much today. Booted it up and done a few laps.
yeah, it's good. Look, unfortunately, Geek has had a number of computer issues, which has meant that not been in any of our recent series of races. So it's going to be exciting to see Geek back in that Red Bull, trying to push as much as possible. As looks like the sectors are currently nice and clean at the moment. One last corner, little bit of instability on the rear here.
That looked
Will not be
familiar.
helping the time whatsoever. Indeed, and we're going to be going across the line and we'll be going into fifth position as the leading Red Bull. But still very much ace. I would say actually outside of the lead, and oh dear, see that instability. Again, they do not want to be carrying much wing if they can. But actually, if you look between second and eighth, all cars within a second of each other. That
Yeah,
is fantastic when it comes to
well,
close racing.
second and seventh, it's within 3/10, so yeah,
Oh, it's brilliant.
incredibly close, or around the 3/10 at the very least. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's yeah, the wings they're running is actually Monza spec, so
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing zero rings, honestly. Just seeing some of the setups, especially on the time trials. Um, Pretty much everyone's running zero wing. I mean, it's kind of I wouldn't say the meta of this game, but just looking at a couple of circuits,
yeah,
near zero or zero wings is going to be a thing, as we're going to be seeing some yellows in Sector 3, maybe some lineups for some outlaps.
oh, that is crash from Jake. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hit the wall there.
yeah, it looks like it's hit the wall on the outside of turn
24, yeah.
23. Yeah, 23, 24. It's one of those where you have to try and go in. You have to try and get yourself into that corner to try and get out.
Yeah,
Sounds a bit
judging by
basic,
where he's
but
parked, I dare say he's gone very deep into three and bottomed out over the curb. At that
yeah,
point, it is just a passenger.
very much reminds me of, and is in a different part of the circuit, but Mick Schumacher's crash, in which he bottomed out going over a curb and had a momentous crash, honestly. It was a very scary thing to watch, and it's kind of the nature of his track is so fast, as Geek has actually retired from the session as
Yeah,
well.
that's in the pit lane. That will be based on the remaining time.
Okay.
Go. Much better lap from it's 1.9 up at the end of sector 2, so
Yep, his checkered flag is now being thrown. So last lap's coming in here. Youssef is going to be setting what he do. 2.7 seconds better will put him in 13th position for the race. As now we're looking at James coming out of the third sector. You can see everyone trying their best to get as much out of that rear end as possible. Going across the line, James will be keeping his 11th. Half a second improvement, but won't only be keeping 11th for now.
Yeah, last gen Ute invalidated, so won't be an improvement for him. There's a
Yeah, as we go.
44 new name.
Yeah, Lizard will be coming across a lot slower than before, 2 temps, but will be sitting at the back of the grid as we will be seeing the last two. Assassin looking to see where they can go in the final corner as Alpha's coming across and goes second fastest, improves greatly and knocks off Newt off of the first row of the grid.
No major change between GMT and Assassin. Last to go will be new driver Ali.
Yeah, Ali's gonna be looking across. I mean, currently sixth position. Like I said, it's so close for those definitely between third and sixth. They're in a couple tenths of a second. As we'll be going across and
A6,
will be
yeah.
keeping sixth position. So that's sprint qualifying. Josh, no surprises there, keeping the first position. But Alpha also dropping it into the 27s, putting a noticeable gap between anyone from the second row of the grid onwards. But that is a very, very competitive from third all the way to eight. I'd
And
say eighth
notice a
there, isn't
lot
it?
of them, obviously, the front row have qualified on the softs. Then we've got that mixture of the mediums in qualifying, so they will, based on their allocation. That is interesting. So, yeah, getting the tyres out the way, so they've got an extra set of softs later for qualifying.
Okay, then. So in terms of the allocation, so explain. Okay, a best way is explain to us like what tires do these drivers have, and what do you think they are going for in terms of the tire strategy for this weekend?
I dare say with 9 laps, they may just about get away with the softs in for the sprint race, but that'll be tight. I think the majority will be preferring the mediums. But it may well be that they've used the mediums in qualifying, taken 5 to 10% wear on them, and then we'll run those for the rest of the qualifying session, for the rest of the sprint race, to stay competitive with the soft rates at the end, but also only using the one set for this whole part of the event. The limitation is the mediums, but if they can use it for the whole part of the sprint, they should be okay.
Okay, then. So a number of drivers looking to mix it up a little bit going into this first race. We are waiting some players to grid up. Well, see how this is going to go in our first race at 6.1 kilometer circuit. We're going to see how this is going to go as we are just waiting a little bit for everyone to grid. And believe me, it'll be a jump scare in terms of when the race starts. Definitely done this before. I will say that when it comes to safety cars in real life, it has a 100% probability of a safety car occurring on this track. So I would not be surprised if we might see one in any of these races, but it's always there to mix people up, especially during the actual race where pitting is going to be more important.
Exactly. I mean, previous did have I think we escaped in the sprint race the last time we were here from a safety car, but yeah, had several, including a red flag, um, in the last main race we had here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, now since 24, of course, we have red flags, and that's going to be an absolute crazy one. And I would not, if anyone does want to play their own game of bowling, they could so, but I would not like the stewards' opinions if anything of that sort happens. As we're waiting
No,
for the last couple of
that's
drivers to trickle in.
no cheeky safety car games here, I think.
Also, no tricky bits with the DRS zones as well, as the DRS zones have been moved since last year. Uh, as you may have seen in the past, if you do watch F1, the DRS zones used to be before the last corner, and people would have all sorts of braking games to try and get around that. And we are gridding up now as 5 red lights is going to be on, as we're going to be going for our sprint race, and flag is down, and we're going to be seeing what is shuffling across. See a couple shuffles on the back here. Going to be going side by side between both the V-carb drivers, but it looks like a little bit of respect how it's going to be there, as Alpha will be keeping that second position. Going to be clean going through the first couple of corners. I don't want to be eating my mouth very, very soon.
Oh,
As we're already seeing yellow flags in Sector 1, as a number of drivers have had some incidents, and looks like we've had some damage on a couple of cars already.
yeah, it was certainly Ender Epic that just take his spin at turn 4. Didn't. Oh, and I believe SK as well. So number of drivers getting caught out. They look like they're all running. Well, I wasn't expecting that. The hard tires as well for some of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think sorry about that there, we can actually see the possible strategies, as most people will be keeping that medium, but some with the hard, that is interesting, especially as there's going to be a proper race coming on later in the sessions.
yeah. With the difference in tires, Woolly Blobs has absolutely checked out of the front there. It's a 1.5 gap already.
No surprises there, as Wooly is going to be wanting to put themselves with a lead, especially keeping himself outside of that DRS zone. But rest of the drivers keeping within a second right now, as a couple of those drivers, of course, have damage. Won't be needing so, but finishing the first lap, looks like Wooly, Alpha, and Newt have kept their positions going into lap 2.
Oh, yeah, place changes. A little bit of shuffling in the midfield. Lizard up for the big mover. That's probably just from keeping it clean. Obviously, we saw the spinners of Ender, Epic, and SK. It's James looks to have picked up damage. I didn't see a spin, but yeah, he's into the pits now. With that,
Yeah.
that stop time,
Yeah,
yeah, you can see the front wing going on, and soft tires now, so getting those out of the way.
Yeah, and it's you don't need a mandatory pit stop in sprint races, but having a pit stop as well is not going to be helpful, as we're going to be seeing a overtake being made at the back here going into turn 13 by the Salba, and looks like I've been doing it, as we have Jake unfortunately having a bit of a moment, and unfortunately having a bit of a spin.
Yeah, that corner absolutely deadly if you're offline, especially if you get too much onto the. Obviously, it is where Schumacher dropped it in Saudi Arabia qualifying back in 22 for the same reason as well. So understandable
Yeah,
spin, but unfortunate for him.
yeah, showing that sometimes in the game you can have things that happen in real life, and seeing Jake being one of those people here, as we're going to be seeing a number of strategies being shown on screen, but we wouldn't expect a pit stop being coming in this race at all, as DRS is going to be available for a number of these drivers, as Alpha will be leading this train of DRS cars coming up from behind. As you said, we're expecting a lot of jostling for positions in terms of, utilizing that DRS. So, right now, looking at this, how do you think this is going to shape up in terms of how we're seeing it right now? Because right now the positions aren't really moving much.
I think this will be mostly it. Obviously, you can see how much the dirty air is affecting Sector 1. That is new this game. Previously, we were able to follow. Sort of see in the background there with Geek and Ali, they're about 3/10. That was our gap beforehand. It's again, sorry, bring to your attention, another spin for Joe. Yeah, that will likely be damage as well to the rear wing, unfortunately for him. Yeah, you can see up here, much closer gap at the back of this little pack. But unfortunately, yeah, with the dirty air, if you're similar paced, you'll be stuck at about 7/10 after Sector 1, which is rather difficult to overtake from, even with the DRS.
Yeah, and speaking of DRS overtakes, looks like Ali is making a position game over Jamie Stokes, as looks like Sector 1 is still
It's Jake
having some
again, that's
yellows.
a front wing on this time.
Gonna have more things dropped on the circuit than it
Oh,
will be on
hello.
the car. And it looks like Geek has already retired from the session.
Car still there. Oh, that's middle of the road, so that is if it's still there, it has been cleared now.
Crash. Yeah,
That's,
very unusual crash. No safety car needed, but that's Geek, one
Oh,
of the people, it looks like incidents have been occurring already. So it looks like Alpha having a bit of problems, and a 10-second penalty colliding for Alpha will not be helping for this sprint race, which they don't have many laps to really gain any advantage.
that rather does look, yeah, like all hell's broken loose in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, and it looks like right now Ali has moved his way up the field, up 3 positions since the start. Currently third. Will be keeping close to Newt, as Sector 3 is going to be having some issues for some of the
Yeah,
drivers
that's
there.
Jake retiring in the pit lane there.
Okay, no surprises there. We'll keep an eye on Newt, as Newt will be keeping that train. As you can see, as you're saying, the dirty air, the turbulence that's being whooped up on the car in front, it's affecting the aerodynamics of the car behind. It's not going to be helping any of them whatsoever, and it's, you know, you're effectively losing downforce, and on a track where you need this downforce, it's going to be very, very important. But that's why we have DRS activation zones, and Ali is going to be within a second. So that little, oh dear, all 4 wheels is not going to be going in the right direction, and probably a bit of side damage is going to be expected on that car. Not helpful for straight line speed.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of damage, we do run it a little bit limited. Obviously, full sim damage, you can actually pick up damage on the curbs, which most of the drivers do like to use. Do have a few pit stops. That'll be for the damage from turn 1 last lap. ED and Assassin both in. But yeah, the
Yeah,
actual damage is limited front and rear wing. Can occasionally get a little bit of diffuser, but that's only on big impacts from the so.
okay.
As we saw,
Well,
sorry.
no, that's cool. Let's go. Keep going.
Yeah, as we saw, obviously Jake reversing into the wall earlier. That likely will be rear wing damage, but the majority of damage picked up will be front wing.
And while you've been talking, just look at the gaps that you're seeing between drivers right now. So within a couple laps, we're 5 laps into this race, a number drivers are already falling out of those DRS trains. So it's going to be very difficult for them to keep up with them with this dirty air being about. So we're currently looking at Ender right now, trying to get some position gains on Yusuf, who's run really well, currently up 6 positions for the start of the race. But will be getting chased down here, as there will be a set of DRS zones coming up. As you can see, the cars are really struggling for grip. A lot of these drivers are 4-wheel drifting, completely losing anything in terms of grip on those tires. And we're going to be going across that start-finish straight, so we've only got about 3 laps remaining. That's just, yeah, 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, again, new with this game, lap counter, it does follow the drivers. Yeah, it will be 4 laps to go. I'm half watching that gap at the front between the top 2. Has come down 4/10 when you got up into second. See how that play. Oh,
Yeah.
hello. I believe that likely a mistake. That's just come down a second and a half in one sector.
Yeah, it looks like Woolly's made a mistake, losing about 1.5 seconds, as you said. It's going to be within DRS range with only a couple laps to go, so may just be a mistake. I expect Wooly to try and pull away with his superior speed, but it's going to be helping Newt a little bit in this fight between the battle for second at the moment. Sector 1 is going to be having another yellow flag out, but we'll keep an eye on this fight going on as we're going through the corners of 22, 3, and 4. Going across this big alcove section into the final corner, but you can see it's just closing and closing and closing down to about 3/10 of a second. 3 laps to go, and will
Interesting
be
error. Based on where it was, I think that'll probably be the curb. Sector 1, it's there. Yeah, if you hook a wheel over that, you're going straight on into a right-hand corner. I don't think it's intentional. We're a little bit early in the season to start playing games like that, especially not at the end of a sprint race.
yeah, and I think the one thing as well is going to be that this track is very difficult. You got to be very precise in terms of where you're braking and when you're turning, because any loss of time is going to be affected across the entire length, especially if you are speeding around these at full throttle, which a lot of these drivers are. And you can see here the gap is being relatively kept by Newt. This is impressive to see, considering Wooly's race pace. And you can see he's just closing and closing and closing. It'll be interesting to see whether or not Newt can actually get in close for some sort of strike. And we're going to be seeing another
That's
issue
easy.
here, sector
Yeah.
1.
And more penalties coming in. Obviously we had the 10-second early, but we've had a couple of time penalties as well since. So there we go. Yeah, a couple of penalties.
Yeah.
SK picked one up early, and then that's used coming in. Yeah, we can see a little bit unsteady there from Mute. Also, Wooly ahead. You can see not taking much on the curbs. So
No, I think Willie's been looking to play it safe. I was having a talk with him
whoa!
beforehand. Playing safe as a mistake has been hit there, hitting the wall, and that's not going to be helping straight line speed in whatsoever. So let's see if Nuke can capitalize this at all.
Yeah, not close
Not
enough that
quite,
time,
unfortunately.
but again, yeah, that's 2 lap. Oh well, technically, yeah, two mistakes on 1 lap. So
It looks like Ali has actually lost some time to Newt across this whole thing. So Wooly has definitely helped in terms of pulling Newt along a little bit, and Ali is actually falling behind a little bit inside for now in terms of the DRS window, but a lot of the drivers beforehand easily gaps have definitely distance out. So we'll keep an eye on this top 3 for now. But as it speaks, these 2 drivers are looking for a victory.
yeah, and Mika definitely a lot closer this lap. Obviously, new in this year from the previous game we run, is the ERS modes. You now have a lot more control. With the red light flashing, they both have been harvesting all the way through sector 1. And now it's back up to the power, and as you've seen, Ali's getting dropped just outside of that DRS zone.
And I think in terms of ERS, it is going to be difficult for how these drivers are going to manage it. As the effect, how effective it's going to be is going to definitely be in that sector 1, sector 3 section, where you have those longer distance
Here we go.
areas of full throttle. As last lap coming up, both drivers keeping it clean, but DRS is going to be open for Newt. Is there going to be anything here? And it looks like just doesn't quite have the distance needed to go for an overtake, and not many more opportunities to come.
Now he'll have one more realistic. I don't think he's going to try and do it on the run to the line. The dirty air in the final corner means you really can't get the same acceleration. So I think it will have to be done on the run towards turn 27.
And you can see here the drivers getting real close to these barriers. Again, you want to try and maximize the speed that you can get out. So getting close to the walls is rewarded, but if you go too far, you can see with Wooly already early in this race, getting punished with those hitting those side of the walls, affecting the straight line speed, and you can even incur some damage, which as you can see they're just nipping it at all, but getting away with it. And we've only got about, what is it? We've got a DRS zone here, and we're going to have a DRS zone on the start-finish straight. So not many opportunities left to overtake as we're going into the closing moments of this sprint race.
Yeah, Willie, again, turn 13 was loose on the under braking, and it did cost him on the entry. We'll have to see whether the move here or whether he will try and hold it to the line. So.
Well, we'll see if he does any dive bombs or anything. Keeps it nice and clean. Last corner coming out here. Both drivers going to push as much as they can, but both keeping it clean. As we're going to go across the line, and it looks like Willy Boo will be winning the sprint race, but not too far behind is Nude per position for Ali, followed by Jamie, and of course Alpha's got that 10-second penalty. Will be dropping them further down. And we're going to see a couple trickling in of our final drivers coming across the line, but pretty close racing considering what we were expecting, what we got. So we'll hope for something similar for the actual race.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, they did spread out very quickly. I think that was aided by the little bits of the tangling lap 6. So I think that split the pack up a lot. Obviously, I'm congratulations to Owen getting caught up just before turn 27. So I think it should be closer. They'll now be used how to drive. What I've noticed interestingly, I think last year Newt is running a bit more wing. even at the end of those straights with DRS, he wasn't closing.
Mm.
So obviously, after this race, they do have access to Parc Fermé is lifted. They can setups. Interested to change because I know Woolly Bob's was almost a monster spec level wings. Certainly 0 on the rear, so I dare say last year I knew it was running a little bit more.
Well, all going to be interesting and up to play as our sprint race has finished, but don't go too far away because we will be having a qualifying session coming right after. Well, that's definitely a interesting sprint race as we're going to be seeing Newt taking a close second, but Josh, very much expected to get a first position here, but having a bit of competition. So very much an interesting first sprint race of the season, and of course we're gonna have another qualifying session. So we're gonna see whether or not some drivers will be able to keep it out of the wall this time, especially a couple of drivers. I think Geek and a couple as we are going to be going into our qualifying session. There is only one qualifying session, so it's just one 18-minute session before people get confused and see Q1. There's like Q2 and Q3. I got confused the first time, but no, it is just one qualifying session. So we're going to be seeing our drivers coming out and saying out our first out laps.
Yeah, it's Q1 of 1, but does have the full final grip levels of Q3. They won't be missing out on any extra performance. The times will be representative. It does look like we've got a little bit of racing on outlaps there. Blizzard and Alpha.
Yeah,
Jostling
some
for.
clean. No, I was going to say some clean air is going to be very important for these drivers. As you saw earlier, you know, if you're traveling with the car behind, it's just not you're not going to have that full performance that your car can have in terms of aerodynamics. And so, and looks like Ender's actually made a mistake coming out of the pit lane, and it looks like we'll be retiring already.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, again, it's the turn in just that little bit too early for turn 4, and he's just clipped the inside there. In this case, I think it's with the rear left, and it's spun him around.
That's a very much a shame. Ender doing decently well in the sprint race, but it looks like it's going to be a bit of an issue. Going to be at the back of the grid. Luckily, you don't have to ask any stewards of any dispensation. It will just put you at the back. Thank goodness.
No, luckily we don't penalise for crashing unless obviously your crash immediately affects somebody. But yes, interesting Lizard with the qualifying ban from impeding last week. So he's out. He's got his setup locked in, race, but back into the pits.
Yeah, it looks like definitely some penalties already being served, and this is only round 2 of the season. So the drivers definitely already getting affected by the stewards already. Hopefully, we won't have to have very much steward intervention, but I will suspect with Jeddah being a street circuit and drivers being close, I expect the stewards to potentially be involved post race. And we'll see how it goes. Looks like Edie has actually also made a mistake going into sector 1 and is another retirement. And we're only a couple of minutes into the session.
Yeah, yellow flags. I think the marshals will be getting their getting their work's worth.
Yeah, and as you're saying with Lizard, of course, with the qualifying ban, goes out for an outlap, locks the setup in, and is also retiring. But that grey list is going to get bigger and bigger, I suspect, as it looks like Assassin getting some purple sectors. I mean, there is no times on the board, so it will be showing purples. Um, but yeah, want to be setting out those first laps, some banker laps, so you have something in the cards if you make a mistake. Because again, if you DNF here, can't set another lap, that's all you're going to be locked in with. And I think you said you've got the qualifying grip of Q3, so regardless how many cars go out, the grip levels are going to be the same.
Yeah, so we are a few tenths faster than this time of SQ1. A little bit more representative. But some of the drivers that obviously did qualify on softs, they may be using part worn tires here.
Yeah, and you can tell already, and about Sasson going about 2 temps faster than before. So we haven't seen our big hitters going across the line just yet, but we'll see a couple of these drivers coming out already as Alpha's going to be putting. Sorry, now for GM. I don't know which one that is actually, but SK will also be setting a banker lap here, number of seconds down. See if they can improve from there. As we are currently on with Wooly, our currently second in the championship, and will be setting in a banker lap of a 27.0. So as expected, whacking a great big time at the top of the board.
Yeah, obviously, nearly a second clear. Very similar to how we started the last session, the last qualifying session as well. But again, it is a tenth and a half faster than his lap from SQ1, and that's straight away.
Yeah, showing that grip levels are important for lap time, and you'll be seeing a number of other cars. I think actually, as you're saying, you know, the method of this track is if you want to go for a second lap on those tires, you've got to just do a second lap itself, and hopefully they have the battery to set a representable time as well. As I do feel that batteries must be stretched here, as it's one of the longer circuits on the calendar.
Oh yeah, very much so. However, we do obviously have the big braking zones, turn 1, turn 27, and turn 13. So there are opportunities to just top it up a little bit as you go around the lap. That'll be Josh getting out of the way of Owen there very, very, very cleanly.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's absolutely fine. I mean, we don't only see drivers impeded. That is something that can be waved against. I bet you there has been definitely some situations in the past where impeding has caused all manners of problems. But we're going to be seeing a couple more drivers with Ali setting the second position there. We're 27.8.
Just riding on board with Geek. You can see that red light flashing, so he is actually derating there at the end of the straights. Again, new feature. It's not just when you're low now, it is when you're having to harvest the battery. So with that, jump
It's
up to fourth.
it's probably worth explaining as well. What is D-rate in terms of these cars?
So the derating is when the battery gets critically out, you are essentially out of battery. The engine has to detune itself, obviously to be avoiding damage. Not that there's damage in the game to the engine. Yeah, it's but it's to save battery essentially, and it will be switching into a harvest mode. But the red flashing light, obviously we see it when it's wet, when they're running the inter tires, but we see it here just to let the other cars know that there may be an issue with the car, either reliability or in this case, that the car won't have the full power available.
And it looks like Geek here pulling aside, let the driver on the leading lap go ahead as Youssef want to be setting here a time on the board. Currently does not have one at all, so want to be setting one now as more drivers coming out and setting their times. But as you said, yeah, the grip levels are showing an improvement. Looks like a little nip with the barrier there from Youssef. Want to be setting that time. Hopefully you can do as well as Newt has actually set a timer 27.6. Just over a temp improvement on Ali, as these two are going to be jockeying back and forth for this second slot on the first row of the grid.
So just rounding out the lap. I've been watching the sector times. It's nothing amazing, but it is slightly up on where he was this time in SQ1. I think we're looking probably the high 20s, around about the 28 to 29 range.
Yeah, and across the line, and Youssef going in a ninth position there. Will probably be wanting to make some improvements there, currently in ninth, but there's already 3 cars DNF'd already. So going into this last bit of the section, as we're going just to halfway left in the session, as Ali will be going around there as a tap with the wall, not going to be helping in his efforts whatsoever, as Jake will also be wanting a little bit of redemption after the DNF in that sprint qualifying. Currently 7th for a 129.1. Final corner to go. Looks like the car is
Oof.
definitely going about, and you can see there that rear was not happy whatsoever. Will not be helping across that long straight, and will be ducking into the pits, as not very happy with that lap at all.
Okay, it's James as well, just jumping up 28.9. Small improvement, but yeah, it sees him up quite a lot of places there.
It looks like it's been actually no, it's more of a slowing down. Ferrari in sector 2 is going aside as Ali is going across the line, improves but keeps in that third position. With 8 minutes to go and limited tires, I don't know if we're going to be seeing some improvements here, but we've got 8 minutes to go, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Owen, 2.5 tenths up after sector 2. Again, it's putting him around about the alley range if he completes his lap with the same margin. A little bit less derated, so I think he's been that little bit more efficient with the battery sector 1 and 2.
Yeah, it looks like harvesting has been helping, and looks like we'll be going up into fourth position. We're at 27.9. So a number of drivers hitting that 27 mark, again with that increased grip, helping them a little bit here in the Q1 session. And now we come into this last part of the qualifying session. So you can see a number of cars in the pits, waiting for those last couple of minutes, as that car is not going to be happy whatsoever across that turn 12 and will be invalidating the lap off of that. So not what SK is going to be wanting, especially with currently in 11th with a number of seconds down, as James is going to be lining up a qualifying lap. Doesn't have a time on the board, so it's going to be very, very crucial to keep a clean lap, which is, as we can see, not the easiest thing to do on this track. Also, with limited time and tires remaining.
Yeah, I mean, we saw his pace earlier, but again, it was on the soft tires versus with a lot with mediums. Now, obviously, we're seeing that everybody on the softs. I think we'll see it a little bit further back into the pack, but his lap in the sprint qualifying was competitive, so fingers crossed this puts him back up again.
Yeah, it will definitely be helpful getting a number of positions on that starting grid, as as we saw in the sprint race. It is very difficult to overtake on this track with the dirty air being such a factor in these cars. So getting a good qualifying position is going to be very helpful, as that's going to be a purple sector being looked on there, if I see that clearly.
Does show a purple. We don't quite always trust them. The F1 game has been notoriously unreliable, displaying the sectors correctly. But judged on the delta, should be around about the 27 mark. So he's a very competitive lap time.
Well, it's fabulous to hear, as across the line, going second position, taking that second spot on the first row, as a number of drivers are going to be wanting to fight there with only about 400ths of a second. Sorry, 600ths a second, just under 600ths a second, being separated between second and third.
So SK up to the line, slight improvement. Yeah, he'll be hoping to get back round with a fresh set of tyres and see if he can close back up that gap.
I mean, just to kind of throw into perspective, safety cars are definitely more apparent on this track than some others. So even though SK is in not the not at the back of the grid, it's going to be in 12th and not some of the positions that the other drivers are. But what it does say is that these safety cars can help drivers if they are willing to have a different strategy, willing to take some risks. But degradation does sound a bit of a problem here, so we'll see how difficult it's going to be later in those parts of the game. You can see the car having a difficulty with that rear end. I think all drivers are having problems, especially that rear end. I always think the rear left is usually the definitely a tire that takes the most damage on this track.
Strange. In terms of straight line traction, yes, the rear left is the one that gets used. In turn 2 especially, but it is the right rear that's sliding the most in the high speed corner, and that is the one that bears the most in the game based on how it models tire wear. In terms of the actual tyre wear, it is a fairly linear degradation rate, and actually lap time performance loss as well. So the drivers, they're sort of less concerned about the degradation, about when the puncture limit is. That's what's actually limiting their stints.
Yeah, because it's described to me as I think it's about 80% is when we can potentially have a puncher coming out, and I think probably explain to a couple of people because the F1 game is it's always a bit of a strange one when it comes to damage and punches, etc. How do punctures really work in this game?
Um, Essentially, behind up until around about 75% to 80%, depending on the tyre compound. Um, Once you get over, you do get an exponentially increasing risk of a puncture. Um, it's raised, the chances raised by driving on curbs. Um, but yeah, once you get to that point, it's safer to pit. Usually the lap before, I think we'll see most people pitting when they're around about 77% tyre wear.
Awesome, and we've now hit that part where a lot of drivers are going to be sitting in pit for now. There's 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes remaining left, so we're going to see whether or not any drivers want to be going out as no, we always see a quite competitive set of times. Especially, I got to thank yourself and commend, from second all the way to fifth. A lot, the drivers are all within that 27. They're all within about 3 tenths of a second, and we're going to be seeing one of the drivers coming out ready. As you can see, they're all going to be running that soft tire. As we can see, a number of drivers coming out for their final qualifying laps.
Yeah, so interesting. You can see the wears of when they actually set the laps there. So, Willy, Blobs, and Ali, well, most of them down to Alpha, all doing multiple there. Jamie just with the one run there. So very, very tidy for him to get that second.
Yeah, as you said, tire allocation really playing a part in this qualifying session. They only have limited tires for getting into the actual race itself, so drivers are going to be running on these used tires to see if they can set a faster lap, which is always a kind of a horrible game to play because you've got used tires and you want to be setting faster lap times. Always going to be a tricky one.
Exactly. I mean, I think we may have seen some of those worn tyres at the start of the session. This will be all fresh sets for everyone.
Awesome. So, right, we're going to be seeing pretty much nearly all the drivers coming out here, except from SK, who might just be sitting on what he's got, as both the drivers jostling around, trying to get themselves a clean position for them to line up a final lap. As yes, as you said, all fresh tires. You got one lap to do it in terms of getting a better lap time and getting themselves further up the field. As Youssef is going to be going across and setting off for his final lap. Keep it clean. Keep it nice. Let's go into turn one and see how it goes. As you will be seeing, of course, some yellow flags in sector 3. Just drivers slowing down, set up their final lap. As Youssef keeping it nice and clean in the
Tidy,
first
but very, very deep into turn one.
Yeah, won't be helping them at all in terms of speed out of this next few sections, as you want to be keeping as much speed as possible. One of the most difficult parts of the circuit. Got to keep it nice and precise here. The tyres will want to be running around the place. Goes a little bit wide there, and not the corner you want to be getting on. Bottoming out is going to be slowing down the car and potentially unsettling it, but keeps it nice and neat. Now going into turn 13, you've got to tuck it in early and swing out wide. Get as much speed going into this turn 18, 19, 20. DRS zone into 21 as swinging around, and you can see that rear does not want to be complying too much now.
I dare
We've
say a
only got
driver that's dropped to the rear, but yeah, it's making the car very unstable on the entry, and he is running very deep corners.
yeah, you can tell here is want to be pressing as late on the on that brake pedal as possible, but running deep can make you take longer to get out of that corner, as only a couple left to go. One more here at turn 27. Keep it nice and neat. We've seen drivers flick out the rear. Looks like there was not much there, but keeping it close to the barrier. That's what we want to be seeing. Cross the line as the checker flag is out, and Youssef will be keeping that 11th position. More drivers crossing a line. Ali will be crossing a line, keeping that 4th position with
Here's the one
Wooly.
to watch.
Wanted to see improvement. And that will be improvement, a 1:26.5. We have a first time in the 26, as it looks like Newt has pipped Jamie to get that second position on the front row. But Alpha improving to a fourth position. James coming across the line, that slight improvement, but no improvement in terms of positioning there. Jake coming across the line, going with that eighth place. GM not really seeing much improvement there in terms of positioning. Geek is unfortunately invalidated their lap, so won't be helpful, but crossing the line anyhow. An Assassin coming across here, final corner, keeps it nice and neat. And we will see
Up to
coming
line,
up in
all
position.
improvement.
I think something to think about. Ali is currently in sixth position, so did not do as well in the sprint qualifying, and you can see there Jamie coming in third. So I think some of the things to think about is Ali is a lot further down than what we saw in the first race.
Yeah, yeah, that final run didn't help. Yeah, obviously a shame for the guys that didn't get the laps in at the bottom of with ED and Oren, Ender Epic both crashing. But yeah, that gap at the front, that is an absolute mega job from Josh. I've driven here for 3 years. I've never had a gap like that. We'll see.
Well,
Obviously, we saw him stuck with the DRS with race, not able to brake. So yeah, it's got a gap and then may get tied down. But that was absolutely incredible lap from him.
well, Wooly having to put in the necessary times when needed, and really showing that he has the pace, but let's see if he's got the consistency to bring it home for a win. So we'll just be waiting for the drivers to ready up and get themselves ready for what is going to be a hopefully an action-packed race for round 2 of the BUSR spring. Sorry, we are a bit further in the year now. The summer championship, and I think we've had I think it'd be interesting considering what we saw earlier. I think I want to think about for the people at home as well as the UCAM is, are we going to see a safety car? And if so, when?
I'll be putting my money lap 6, lap 7.
Right.
Then they'll settle down. But if everyone does survive, I think there'll be a bit more risk slightly later on into the race. It is our traditional point, around about the 6 to 8 margin. Yeah, with the higher tyre rates, we won't see the same strategies run. Afterwards, we may see an extra stop being made.
Yeah, and chat guys, you are going to be keeping us counted here. So let's see if Cam is going to be right in this section. I guess you say about that lap 6 to 8 section. I guess as the tires are starting to wear, that rear, especially the rear end, is going to be wearing a lot more. It's going to make it a lot more difficult on traction zones and more likely to spin. So I guess that's what sort of logic you're using with this.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we see people take it a little bit careful. At one of you always get somebody send a mad dive bomb. Yeah, they'll generally take it a little bit more careful, especially after a sprint. And it's just as they start to build up that confidence, the tyre wear kicks in, then we see the mistakes, we see the slightly ambitious moves, let's say. And yeah, that's when we may see the incident start, or just not even wheel to wheel the drops, but we do have the red lights here.
Yeah, so 5 red lights for round 2 of the championship. And we are green, and looks like we're going to see a couple of drivers not getting across the line, but you're going to see a couple of crossing across the front line here. It looks like Jamie is going to be sending it in. I think it's going to be Jamie, yes, and Jamie is going to be going side by side with Wooly, and that's going to be really, really important, taking the lead position off of Wooly. You can see a couple of people bouncing around. There's a little bit of pass in the rear. Yeah, let's keep an eye on out in front. Looks like James is going to be defending already, as looks like Sector 1 is going to have a couple of problems here already, as James looks like having some damage. Not going to be helpful whatsoever, but drivers are going to be keeping it close, and Newt, it will be slightly behind here. Wannabe looking to take a overtake here, get that position early and slow Wooly down, as Wooly is actually going to be on the hard tires compared to Jamie, so we'll have that grip advantage. Let's keep an eye. We're going into turn 15 and 16. Make sure that you have that grip, and they will have. These are going to be new tires, but they want to be getting close to the wall, keeping it nice and clean for now. As you can see, the possible strategies on the wall, either a 1-stop or 2-stop. I expect that 2-stop to be more of a thing if we see those safety cars, but for now, It's going to be that one stop we're going to be expecting as drivers are starting to gap themselves out into their positions, but Wooly's not going to be wanting to be sitting in that position anytime soon.
Now you can see Jamie harvesting. He's not going to fight this too hard, but does throw a defensive shade. It's going to make Wooly go around the outside. Oof!
Oh dear, it looks like there's going to be contact with the wall from Jamie. It's not going to be helping whatsoever. It's going to be diving into the pits. And Wooly has been given a free treat and getting the lead of the race.
Look at his front wing, that front right. That's gone entirely.
Oh dearie me, it looks like Wooly has actually had some damage. Good spot there from Cam. That's going to not be a very good for his race at all. He's going to be wanting to have that situation to pit, but that's going to be helping the cars from behind to get nice and close, as DRS is going to be available from this lap onwards. So keep an eye on the front runners, especially Newt and Assassin. Assassin will be having that slight improvement on grip earlier in the race, and you can see already using that grip to the advantage going into turn 13. Assassin's going to be wanting to go and have a move on the outside. Does he have the grip and acceleration needed? That's going to be needed, and that's going to be possible. That's second position for Assassin.
Yeah, absolute textbook. He's making the use of those tires. But yeah, they both need to get past Wooly here. That front wing will be painful. He will, I expect, be in at the end of this lap. You can see actually Owen peek in the background there, trying to get past. But yeah, that contact's very unfortunate and annoyingly for Josh. He is on the hard, so he will be struggling with tyre wear now to the end of the race.
Yeah, hard tyres are usually a commitment to going longer in the race, and that wing is going to be costing him time at all points, especially later on in the stint. So he's going to be wanting for some sort of stoppage of play, a safety car, virtual safety car, something, as it looks like Newt's going to be going wide there, and some contact from the cars behind there not going to be helping in keeping the cars nice and fresh, as Newt's going to be going side by side on Geek. Has nipped up to third with those medium tires, but you got to be fast overall. It's going side by side going into turn 2, and looks like Geek has kept it for now. Again, he has that grip advantage, can run it on the outside and get away with it, but it is going to be costing in terms of that tire wear later in the stint.
Yeah, obviously they're on the strategy. I mean, especially with Josh's damage, if him and Assassin can clear Josh, well, as you see, Josh going very, very wide there.
Yeah, it's not going to be helping at all, as Geek's going to be nipping it on the outside, going to be waving him goodbye into turn 13. Wooly is already struggling, and it's going to be a uphill battle for him later on. As you can see, Newt trying to get that outside line, trying to get a little bit more speed. Going on that outside, you can retain a better speed, so it's better if you want to try and get more speed later in that turn. But if you can't really make the overtake, you're just wasting time, especially the cars behind are improving themselves.
I mean, yeah, you can see the gaps at the front. The problem is with Josh's damage, you can't go around the outside because he's always just going to wash out, especially around the left-hand corners where you need that front right wing part.
And it looks like we have our first retirement already.
Yeah, virtual safety car.
Yeah, it looks like ED is unfortunately our first victim of the race, and as you can see there, coming out of turn 24 is not, again, you're going to be grounding the car, it's going to get loose, and unfortunately it has nailed the first victim. It's like Wooly has been given that time necessary to get that wing overtaken. As you can see there, understeering like anything.
Oh,
this been overtaken in the pit, as there's already contact
I
with
get
the
that.
pit.
I get what they've done there. Obviously, with Josh needing the front wing, and they both wanted to come in, they've swapped it so that Alpha's race won't be damaged too much. I'm curious to see if that's voluntary or if they've actually made the call in the voice chat for that, but I do understand what they've done there.
Yeah, that's one of those weird things with this game, because you're using the same slot, and so double stacking will be punished. But Josh being a little bit kind now, I actually think, because didn't really need to, but especially as you're competing against other people. But nice to see a little bit of camaraderie with between teammates, as a green flag will be going, and it looks like SK having an unfortunate penalty for speeding under virtual safety car conditions. That's going to be a drive-through penalty. That's going to be 19 seconds of, loss of time in terms of their race, in terms of overturn races. Geek will be leading this race, going through into lap 4.
Yeah, no, it's so far been a very, very good race for Geek. Up 6 places as well. Yusuf up 7. Ender Epic with all the all the battles and the incidents gone on. That's up 9. Big loser obviously being Josh Woolly Blobs, down 11 from pole position.
Could we have a look at the tires as well? Because a lot of these drivers, most of them are running the hard tire, and as you saw earlier, in terms of possible strategies, it is the main strategy that most of the drivers will be running. But it looks like some drivers getting that purchase out of it is actually we're now seeing the DRS being very important. As the just like in real life, we're seeing both of the McLarens going side by side as Newt will be taking the lead of this race for now, but Geek will be coming up from behind, seeing if he can get a move, but it's going to be very difficult going into this section of turn 4, 5, and beyond. And
Yeah, we do like seeing the sole Red Bull fighting the McLarens. Makes it a little bit more entertaining. Who knows? Sim racing mirrors real life.
oh, it's an unfortunate nature of Red Bull. They can only get one car working for some reason. The other one seems to be spinning around or doing something else in the race.
Or in our case, sat in the pits not doing anything.
Unfortunately for us, indeed. Well, it's going to be Geek, unfortunately, losing to those two McLarens in front. Again, those McLarens being some of the faster cars. Well, not in terms of actual fast in the game, but in terms of drivers. And of course, those medium tires, the longer the race goes in terms of these guys' individual stints, the more this medium tire will drop off. And you're already seeing currently 8 tenths of a second behind as these cars are starting to get the effect of dirty air. It's going to be pushing the gaps across. And we already see a number of cars having those gaps. But keep an eye on definitely for this type for the top 3. And keep an eye on Jake actually currently in 6th position in that Alpine. Only about 3 tenths close. We'll be wanting to try and draft close to Youssef, try and see if there's an overtake opportunity coming. Will be coming on the inside, but thinking better of it. So for now, Newt, Ali, and Geek are your top 3 for now, but keep an eye on Wooly, who has already made their mandatory pit stop and
Has pitted, but I
probably
think
hoping.
with that damage, I do think he will be on the 2 stop now. BSC aided, of
Yeah.
course, but well, there we go. There's his answer.
Well, now on the medium tires, we'll be having that better grip compared to the hard tire. As it looks like Jake there completely bailing in the corner and setting himself. You can only get 3 track limit. You can only go
well,
through
you can
3
get
times.
2. Your 3rd
second
will
penalty.
be the penalty. Yeah,
There
so
you go.
treating track limits more like track suggestions there, I think, from Jake.
Yeah, and won't be helping at all now. Outside of the DRS range will not be helping. It looks like hits the wall. Rear goes a little bit weird, but keeps it going for now. We saw Jake actually making a similar mistake in the sprint race itself. So not the best situation, but let's keep an eye on the first 2 here. Looks like 4 tenths of a second. You can actually see there, lose about 3 tenths of a second in one corner. That dirty air not helping whatsoever. But within 4 attempts, we'll be getting that DRS. And a number of cars, 1 to 4, will be getting this DRS. Let's see whether or not they have the battery necessary to attack or necessary defend for Newt. But has the necessary gap, probably. I don't think we're going to be seeing an overtake for this one, but do keep an eye later on, especially as they are running the hard tyre. They will have the better pace over a longer stint.
As I said, yeah, you can just see that hairpin of the 27. It's not overly sharp. With it having that little bit of minimum speed required, just drops people back to about that 6th, 7th, 10th, which isn't enough now. Be doing the easy drops down into turn 1.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dirty Air being a nuisance of physics, really, in terms of racing. It looks like a spin coming out from Geek, as we saw in the back there, and will not be helping that front wing whatsoever. Unfortunate. Geek, was running in 3rd position, but now dropping down the order. At least the car is still going and not a DNF for this round. But this is the first round back for Geek in quite a while in the BUSR, and definitely not what they expected.
Front wing gone, unfortunately, so I dare say we'll be into the pits at the end of this lap.
Yeah, very unfortunate, but really shows you that turn 9-10 section as looks like a bailing of that corner. Yeah, that 9, 10, 11 section is horrible in terms of bottoming out and causing horrific accidents, as we noted before. Mick Schumacher back in 2022.
It's that.
And
Oof. Yeah, you can see the no front wing. He's being really washed out there. Yeah, the problem is if you're sliding, which you do have to be doing to drive quickly in this game. If you are having that sort of slightly four-wheel slide, mostly with the rears sliding, and then you hit the curb, unsettle the car, yeah, the car's just gone. There's very little.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Ender has actually been doing relatively well, but currently 2.7 seconds behind Ali. But overall, not too bad. The top two keeping it nice and close. Well, a lot of drivers are now settling into that longer race stint. As this is it's definitely a longer race in terms of just because of how many laps and the distance that we've got of these laps. It's 6.1 kilometers. It's a longer track than you
Okay, Will
think.
Buxton. Race is longer because it has more laps. But no, yeah, Ender's done really well. Obviously, that sort of gap did get separated with Owen Spin and the evasive action needing to be taken. Has kind of made it a two-horse race. Got the leaderboard up just so we can keep an eye on Woolly's progress. He is stuck at the moment, that 23 seconds back with that front wing change. So he
Yeah,
is
and
not eating into that too quickly now.
yeah, and currently a pit stop is about 19 seconds. So just think about it, where these drivers are going to be putting themselves out. They're going to be wanting to put themselves in a nice gap. Unfortunately, a lot of these drivers don't have engineers to tell them where the gaps are and when to pit. But um, it is going to be very important where you want to pit. And a lot of the time, the game will tell you when to pit. Depends how much people listen to them. But, we listen to Jeff when we want to, not when we have to.
Yeah, exactly. There is the option to tell him to be quiet in polite terms. Yeah, it's obviously they'll be starting to have this little bit of the headache at the McLaren who pits first. Traditionally, obviously, it would be Newt, but Newt's preference is usually actually to run long, let the others have the undercut, and come back as a chaser. Obviously, it does look like he is the fast McLaren, just towing Ali along with the DRS.
Yeah, and you might as well use that advantage of the DRS to just tow yourself along. It's going to be helping your overall race time just to have that tow in itself. Even if the dirty air is causing some problems, everyone is going to be suffering with those problems in some way or form, as they are going to be keeping nice and close. But that 8/10th being, it kind of reminds me of remember back to 2021 how those cars were very much affected by dirty air. They were different regulation, they were a lot harder to follow, and you could tell with Lewis Hamilton. I always remember it as them dropping back a second and then coming back in, and you would see this constant ebb and flow of delta, and we're going to be seeing it here as we are seeing the gap still leader, as we have finally another person having track limit issues and getting a 3-second penalty for it. Let's keep an eye on Assassin lower in the midfield as
They've
this train free.
managed to close up to Youssef. Jake's still struggling with that rear, looking very, very unstable on that Alpine. Obviously, we did see in Sector 2 Assassin get past. I think he's going to make very, very easy work. Choosing the outside, which is always that little bit risky, but does give you the inside for turn 2. I think we'll see a straight drag race up to turn 4 here.
Yeah, it looks like Assassin really making use of that positioning, getting the overtake done and moving up into 4th position. But you are going to see 2 drivers from behind wanting to take a nip at them themselves, as Jake will be kicking the rear of the field. And looks like Jake is making a mistake, will be running wide there, will not be helping in terms of track limits. You're going to get 2 limits for that. That's not the smartest thing to do in the world.
I mean,
but
I dare say the game may be a little lenient. He has lost a lot more time off track than he would have carried with the momentum, so I think he'll be okay from that. But yeah, track limits, track suggestions. But yeah, you can see McLaren's at the front, still holding station. Yeah, already a 1.2 between Assassin and Youssef in the background there.
Yeah, and Willie now within 23 seconds. So just to put it in perspective, is about 4 seconds away from the lead if a normal pit stop is to occur. So
I'm going to draw your attention. You say that it was 23.4 2 laps ago. He's not gaining on last gen Ute. It is with the leaderboard. It's not interval. Yeah, he's not making the progress he needs to.
Yeah, that's not going to be helpful whatsoever. And if there's a situation where there's another safety car, a virtual safety car, where a cheap pit stop can be made, a pit stop at doesn't affect their relative race time to some of the drivers further back is going to be helpful, as we're going to be seeing a pit under, yeah, under green flag for Youssef here, going on to the medium tires. So completing their mandatory pit stop and putting them on a grippier set of tires. I think it's going to be a minor stretch if it's 11 lap. That's a 14 laps on a medium tire. I think that's going to be a bit of a stretch. How
I
do you
mean,
think about that?
yeah, that is very strong. I mean, the mediums were sort of hitting puncture range round about the 12 laps. You could get 11 out of them at a stretch. Depends how much he works them. Should be able to extend it, but yeah, we'll have to see. I think this may be either another extra stop, potentially for Sauce at the end, or we'll be running well off his pure race pace, I think.
Well, we'll see how that gamble goes for Youssef, currently in 10th after that pit stop, but making their mandatory pit stop. So we'll see how this goes for them. I think let's have a look closer in that battle for sixth position. Actually, I think that'd be a one. So we're looking at you at the lead already as we're back down to about 4 tenths of a second. But making a bit of a mess out of that final corner. As you can see, the delta going down, starting to come back up now, just because of the DRS helping them along. I think it shows that Ali does actually have the pace necessary, as we're seeing. That's SK coming out of
Yeah,
the.
he did that well. Could have, well, he was, if he'd floored it, he would have split the McLarens there. We do not run ghosting, unlike a lot of sim racing leagues. So they do actually have to abide by the regulations to get out of the way.
And we see here SK coming out the pits and unfortunately getting another 3 second time penalty for track limits. So already in last position, but will not be helping in any form there, as we actually see Assassin getting the overtake over the other Williams driver there. So
Fortunately,
will
based on
be
the Delta, that's a mistake. And that's a mistake from Jake there, rounding out the point. No, yeah, he just lost a couple of seconds there, so that will be the traditional run, wash out wide, and bottom out on the curb.
not so helpful for Ender. We'll try and see if we can get the time up. Um, lucky, actually, no, just
Yeah, just
outside of
outside.
the DRS as well. And I
So
think we're getting to that point in the race where drivers are going to start to look to take some pit stops already. We've already seen a couple of drivers pitting, but especially on those hard tires, we're going to be seeing that pit around about, I'm expecting somewhere around 13 to 15 is where that window is going to be opening. Especially for these hard tires. I think for the soft tires, guys, I'm thinking of Jamie, I'm thinking of James, Lizard. They're going to be wanting to take those tires, change those tires, because right now those definitely are some warm
yeah,
boots.
I expect Jamie will be in the next couple of laps with those mediums. Like Willy Blobs, he got about another 5 or so. Well, speaking of, there we go. Jamie into the pits. Get off those 10 lap old mediums. As I said, I think Willy Blobs probably have another 5-10 split the difference, or another 5 or so split the difference. But yeah, the pit window for the hards will be opening in a couple of laps.
Yeah, and I think Jamie really want to be improving since one of his drivers affected with those turn one collisions. One of the faster drivers, but getting into problems in terms of incidents. Not the easiest thing, but it is Jeddah, and cars are going to be closer to walls and to other drivers. So definitely showing it's a minorly a car breaker. We'll see how many drivers will be finishing this race at the end. Currently one out, but we'll see how it goes later in the race, as these two drivers will be pushing each other along. And they've been fighting within a second for the last couple of laps. It looks like Jake has made a got overtaken there by Alpha in is one of the DRS straight.
Yeah, it is a
So
it is a DRS obviously introduced for 2022. Yeah, it's just fortunately he's gained the places early. Now he's got the oldest tyres on the grid. Last year in Newton, so McLaren they are prioritizing the lead driver here. But yeah, Jake just struggling with that rear, and it's causing him to go backwards, unfortunately.
yeah, and you can see that having a number of problems controlling that rear, not going to be helping whatsoever, as Newt is going to be going for that undercut over Ali. We're going to see whether or not that pays off in the long term, as Ender's also going to be coming here, as the Williams driver wants to be pitting and getting onto a new set of
Oh,
tires.
here we go.
As we're seeing.
Willy Blob's in as well.
Yep. So it
Yeah,
looks like a mirroring of pit strategy out from Wooly. Whether or not it's going to help, it's going to be interesting. I honestly don't. I
say
could
that.
kind of understand why,
I
but
get
at
what
the
he's done,
same
but he's
time,
now gone on to his original hard tyres, the ones he's obviously used hards in the sprint. So he was trapped on that one set. He's had to go back to it now. Um, he's 40 seconds off the lead of Ali, 25 off last year Newt. So again, he's lost out in this set of pit stops, and now he doesn't have the tyre delta either to chase.
that's not going to be helpful. He's going to have to look in his inner pace to actually get any more positions up. Currently in 10th position. Not the best situation for second place in the Drivers' Championship for them. As you can
Oh,
see, a couple of issues there for Ali as those worn tires really showing their problems there. As now we'll have the clear pit to go in and change those tires off. So let's see whether or not this undercut is going to work for Newt. Newt has a new set of medium tires, does have more grip and more capability. So let's see how this is going to
there
go. As
he
we can
is.
see there, Ali is on the side here, so it looks like that that undercut has worked well here, and Newt will be regaining the lead of the race.
It has very much worked. What I'm curious to see um, is
Uh,
whether he. Yeah, don't worry. We do run different regulations. It is managed in game. And essentially you're allowed one cut of the pit lane exit line. Um,
okay.
it's the rules in place there to mitigate sort of tracks like Australia, where you put straight onto the line at a much tighter angle. So we do
Mm.
allow our drivers to cut across just once. Obviously, if they take 2 stops, they have to be mindful of the limits. Um, but it's managed in game. And well, Josh Woolley, 3-second time penalty.
I mean, like you said, doesn't have the tire delta to really have that pace, so he's probably pushing quite a lot to try and get up any more positions. And unfortunately, getting a 3-second time penalty for track limits. So not going to be helping their race. As Sector 1, there is going to be a yellow flag, and looks
It's
like GM's going to be going up a position.
yeah, again, Jake is just dropping down. Whether
Uh,
that was curb inflicted or that is been the
I
story of
think
this event.
what's really interesting is it's 2.7 seconds. They only pitted, and it was only
Yeah,
1 lap difference. And it's 2.6 seconds.
yeah.
As you
Oh,
can
the
see, it
fresh
increasing
tires.
now already. As Newt's actually set the fastest lap of the race.
I think it's showing. Yes, he was towing him, had the undercut, and it has allowed him to brake. I think this will be kind of the running order now. Um, I'm curious to watch our P3 P4 battle, see if that gap closes. Obviously, they
Yeah,
are in the same
naturally.
situation. Assassin with the fresher tires though in front.
I want to make attention currently for the battle of Sec. Geek at the moment having to recover earlier in the race from a unfortunate mistake out of turn 10, and has a Jamie Stokes hunting from behind, has had an extra pit stop, but Jamie showing that he has his pace, keeping and pushing along. So let's see who's going to be making a
Well, it's
mistake
extra
and
pit
whether or not the
stop
overtake's
and
going to be happening.
5-lap fresher tires. So unfortunately, obviously, Owen, very good racer, but I don't think this will last long for him.
Yeah, looks like the cards are going to be against Owen. And it's not even the gambling place, that's for Las Vegas. But let's see how it goes. Jamie Stoke will be getting the DRS going out of these next couple of sections. It's always a tricky part of the circuit. I'll be honest with you, that part of the circuit, trying to think what it is. It's the turn 15, 16, 17. That is a horrible section because if you go wide, you're hitting a wall. And
Yeah,
coming
unfortunately,
out between 2,
it's
3, and
completely
4.
blind on the turn-in points as well. You can't actually see the apex of the next part of the chicanes before you commit to them.
Looks like James has got a 3-second penalty for track limits. Again, these will be coming in over the course of the race because drivers will be making those mistakes going wide as those tires will be wearing off. Or if you're Wooly, you're pushing really hard and they still get a track penalty anyway.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we're seeing, as you saw, this you're seeing a bit of harvesting coming from Owen there. The battery's not going to be helping whatsoever. Flicking very hard, cutting the nose of Jamie, really showing that I am here. I am riding a Red Bull. Maybe channeling an inner point of Max Verstappen. Whether or not that's good or bad, I'll let the viewers at home determine that.
Whoa!
As it looks like there's an incident there, and Jamie Stokes has made a mistake, and a DNF coming out from the Mercedes driver.
I hope we're okay on those yellows, but this will be interesting, obviously. The car has been cleared away, as you can see from GMT's POV. No longer there, but it was, again, just that turn in, just that little bit early into turn 4. I don't believe there's any contact. I just unfortunately seeing him leave the session. Yeah, no, ooh, a little bit of a...
Well,
interesting.
track suggestions.
Track suggestions, exactly. I'm coining that phrase. Yeah, we've now got, obviously, you can see the AlphaTauris and the Red Bull. They've joined the battle together. But yeah, very, very unfortunate for Jamie there.
Yeah, and Alpha. Let's have a look. Can we bring up the tires actually? Because I think Owen does actually have some somewhat worn tires. Yeah, indeed. Look at
Yeah,
that 7
7
lap
laps.
delta between these two. So Geek is going to have to fight for his life, as Alpha does have the very much an advantage on tires.
Yeah, unfortunately, unlike the F123, which is our previous game. Whoa!
Oh, holy damn. Geek has had a massive incident, and looks like Alpha's got a bit of damage as
I'm curious to
well.
see, yeah, both of the AlphaTauris. Josh definitely got damage in the background there. He's missing his front right end plate. Let's have a look.
Oh no,
Front
not
left end
again.
plate for for Alpha as well. I think Geek's actually escaped damage. I'm curious to see, but
Oh my
that's something.
goodness.
Yeah, Josh.
Oh no, Josh has retired from the session. He's done.
Yeah, he's gone
He's
straight
cooked.
on.
Unfortunately, he's cooked. And the difference is he's cooked himself, not the engine. And that's unfortunate. It's going to be a DNF for Wooly there. That's not going to be helping for the championship whatsoever. But at least the rivals that he'll be fighting against
Well,
are
I
not
mean,
in this race.
yeah,
But,
well, you say that, not including
unfortunate for
drop
them.
round. This does actually give last gen Ute, I believe, quite a big lead in the drivers.
Holy dear. What calamities coming already for round 2 of the championship. We've got another 3 more rounds of this. So definitely keep an eye out going into the next couple of weeks. We've got a number of, we've got about 8 laps, just about 8 laps remaining, and Newt going to be keeping that 2.9 second lead nice and comfortable. As you said, a lot of drivers have done their pit stops, so these we're at the point now that it's probably going to be selling down. I'm interested to see whether or not Geek has got the damage, and whether or not other drivers behind might be able to. I mean, it's 8-second difference for now, and to be honest, let's probably have a look at Jake right now, who's chasing down GM. Not, I'm gonna say, not had the easiest of race. Definitely struggling with those. Definitely with controlling that rear end of that Alpine there, but. See if there's anything that can be done as coming out the final corner, keeping it relatively controlled as DRS is open, giving them an additional up to about 50 horsepower worth of
Yeah,
speed
you
in this
get about
case down the
extra
straight.
12 kilometers. It's not much with the dirty air. Unfortunately, with how it is in the game, you do have to rock up and make. As soon as you get trapped behind somebody, unfortunately, as we've seen, you do very much get stuck.
Yeah, and I think we're now getting to that point where a lot of drivers are kind of getting stuck in their individual positions. Jake is going to be wanting to fight on, but you can see there is a mistake is made at the same corner, again and again. Turn 8, 9, 10, man, this thing is killing. And unfortunately for Jake, that is another spin, and oh, got a feel for him.
Yeah, now anybody that's gets through this race without a spin there, I think it's driven incredibly.
And you can see actually a lot of drivers struggling with those track limits, getting track limit penalties accumulated. As see all the drivers from 7th down to 12th all having penalties occurring just from not getting through. As Ali having a bit of problems coming out turn 2, trying to get some traction on those worn medium tires.
Then trying to get his traction, he has brought the gap down. It's come down 3/10 in the last lap. Don't think he'll quite be game on, but it is coming down slowly.
Well, all excitement to go. I mean, 3 tenths of a second would put us around 2 seconds, so that would be quite nice if that would keep happening, because we might get some fighting at the end of the race. Let's see if things will play out that way, as yes, the gap is going slightly down, but well, as I say, that goes up and down in all sorts of ways as we're now getting to that point of the race where we are just sitting down, relaxing, and seeing how this is going to play out. And looks like a yellow flag in sector one. Looks like SK has got another penalty as there's a
That is,
car in blue, and that's
yeah,
Jake
it's
again. Oh no.
unfortunately,
Oh no, Jake. Jake, we you've had so many problems in terms of keeping that rear end. It looks like that rear end's a little bit more loose than before, as that front wing does not look fully complete there. As I
no.
don't know, might actually help a little bit in terms of understeer. I don't know.
I mean,
Let's see how this goes.
not being able to push, yeah, it will keep the rear in check a little bit, push the balance rearwards, but yeah, no, unfortunately, even having to manage a twitchy car, it's always going to be quicker than no front wing.
I remember a race back in a different on a different race title. I was on ACC on Brands Hatch. I damaged the car slightly from just an incident. Actually improved the handling greatly. I was increasing my lap time just because the handling was just so much better. So sometimes instant you break the car and make it faster. I don't know if it would be the same in terms of F1 cars. It is a bit different between a sports car and an F1 car, as you can see,
I mean,
struggling to get out that corner with the understeer.
it does happen. I mean, you saw with in relating both to real life and in sim, if we run sims, iRacing, and AC, it can change the balance, push it rearwards, or basically push it forwards and just make the driver a little bit happier with it. Real life, we had Charles Leclerc, Chinese Grand Prix, decided he didn't
Yeah.
want part of his front wing, and yeah, it
Oh
did
dear.
obviously settled the balance, and he was a lot more comfortable with the race.
There's just absolutely choking on water there, and looks like a new rear wing, a new front wing. Sorry, that'd be fun if you could get a rear wing change on an F1 car. The new front wing coming up there for Jake, just tumbling down the order and not probably what they wanted. As it looks like GM's going to be fighting with Geek. As we saw, the tire delta is quite big. There is 7-lap delta. You know, that earlier incident with him losing a bit of his front wing, starting to see that punishment here as Geek is getting his elbows out, going side by side, keeping it clean for now. As we're going into this final set of sections, 22, 3, and 4 is going wide. Not what you want to be doing when there's such a long straight at full throttle. And you can see the car's already harvesting, so GM's just going to make that overtake clearly, and that's going to be an overtake for sixth position.
Yeah, harvesting, he is very much going to be low on the battery, and with that, yeah, seven laps older tire.
You
Fortunately,
can
it's a
see
bit of a
Geek has
sitting
just got
duck.
not any speed coming out that final corner, as it looks like Yusuf is going to also be making the move, going to take the overtake into 7th, as both cars are actually harvesting, so not the situation. All three of these wanting to get energy in any sort of way, probably waving around saying, please Jabby change, I want some more energy in my car, and they don't have it at all. But it looks like Geek will be keeping that 7th position for now. Yusuf needs to probably find a little bit of energy themselves. As you know, you said, you've got 2 big braking zones to harvest that energy, but for a lot of this lap, a lot of it's full throttle. There's very few braking zones, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, we've just got the Aston Martin there. Oof, Owen off track as well there.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah,
Owen causing some yellow flags there, and looks like Yusuf will be taking that 7th position. Geek struggling with those, like you said, that those hard tires are now at 14 laps. So we're hitting that puncture territory, and hopefully we won't see a puncture, but if it does happen, it is getting to that point. It has the most worn tires on the track at the moment.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he'll be okay. As I said, around about the 15 laps was safe, just about. It was 15 to 17 was okay. I think he'll be okay on the puncture. What I'm curious about is Ender Epic. Just 4 laps ago, he was 3 seconds off Assassin, out
Yeah, and
18.
it looks like probably a mistake coming out from there. I mean, we did see some yellow flags in the previous lap, so
Say
potentially an error. I can't see any
You say
damage on the car. I don't know
mistake.
about you.
If can't see any damage on the front, it is a potential if he has had a spin that he's gone into a wall backwards and is. Yeah, you can see with that rear sliding right, it is possibly rear wing damage.
Oh dear, definitely a problem for a person just outside, well, chasing a last of the podium positions. But I think, as you agree, I think there is some problems. Look like sector 3, it looks like there's going to be a yellow flag coming out from there. Looks like a Mercedes driver, so GM having some problems. Let's keep an eye on it. We have 3 laps remaining of this race, so won't have that long to make any sort of final moves. I mean, at the moment, Alpha is just on the back of Ender. If you think that they have damage and they are potentially compromised in terms of times, I wish we had the
Yeah,
actual lap times.
I'm.
The previous lap times are helpful.
I mean, they are going to be an absolute bullet in the straight if they have got that rear wing, but fortunately, yeah, I think they will be a bit of a sitting duck come corner exits.
Also, kept it nice and clean. These drivers definitely at the top have kept it clean, not having track limit penalties, but there's all to play for. 2 laps to go with Alpha coming onto the final corner and keeping within that DRS. Let's have a look back at the front. Looks like
Whoa,
Newt's actually extended it. It looks like an instant happening there.
that's
Looks like
Jake
Jake
being
had another
lapped.
problem.
Yeah, so Jake's being lapped. Wasn't quite at the point where he needed to move, but that is one way to get out of the way, I suppose.
Looks like jostling for position between Ender and Alpha at the moment. Looks like Alpha's actually gone and made that positional gain, and going with 2 laps to go is going to be really helpful in terms of their championship prospects. Well, championship
Here we go,
position
Owen into the
prospects, let's say
pits.
that. And Owen's in the pits, I guess, for a problem with the car.
I don't think
mean,
it'll be a problem. I think, given his, if you look at the gap behind, he is already moving. This will be an attempt to steal the fastest lap point.
oh, so we do still be scoring
We
the
do still
fastest lap.
run. It's 2 points, so obviously we essentially double the maximum points and extend it down to the top 15. Everybody that finishes will be getting points today. But yes, we do run 2 points for the fastest lap as well.
Well, that is very awesome. I mean, with the gaps being so big late in this race, faster lap is going to be possible putting on a new set of medium tires, as we are going to be keeping an eye for this battle for 4th position. And looking to rescue whatever they've had a problem early in this race, of course, having a mistake earlier on. And keeping within that DRS as we are going on to the final lap of this race. Will be the final lap, not for these guys, will be for the cars in front. They still have a lap to do.
Final lap
But
starting now. Here we go.
yeah, and getting nice and close, but looks like it's going to be having a look, but thinking better of it. There's going to be a couple more opportunities on this track to make the overtake. As you can see, that rear end dancing around a little bit on acceleration. So does not have that traction, superior traction compared to Alpha, but does, of course, have the speed necessary as we're looking further back with Youssef. Currently in 6th position, both these drivers carrying track limit penalties of
Both on the
similar
3
caliber?
seconds. Yeah, both on 3.
Okay. So this will be for positions at the end of the race. So keep an eye on GM. We'll be keeping an eye. As you can see the car sliding around, four-wheel track sliding. Not the easiest. Again, it like I said, it's the fastest way in this game is the slide, but it looks terrifying from the track cams.
Do have Jake spun round turn 23 and 4. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think we'll.
we were watching obviously Youssef in turn 2. Very, very twitchy. It wasn't quite a slide, it was the rear stepping out.
Yeah, and looks like across the line, Newt has taken the win for round 2 of the championship as Assassin comes into 2nd, and Ali actually going into 3rd position. So Assassin actually getting an extra position at the end. So overall, not too bad when it comes to it. Final for position in the 4th, and you can see there's you can see a little bit of celebration there for
I don't know if
Ender.
it was
Couldn't really do anything
celebration over
about
a
it.
P5, I'm afraid. Especially when he was just 10 laps ago, sat fairly comfortably in the podium's places as well.
Keep an eye on Geek at the moment, actually, as you want to be doing his fastest lap attempt. Let's see if they can do it as GM going in 7th. Geek trying to set the fastest lap of the race. Again, switched over to these new medium tires. Let's have a look on that timing above. Let's see what happens.
So currently it is Miko with a 30.4. I think he's missed out on it, unfortunately. Yeah,
Yeah,
30.8.
unfortunately, it's a 30.8, 4 tenths of a second off. So they will be keeping that 8th position and not the fastest lap of the race. But definitely not the race wanted. But it's the race will be given as the final car coming off the line with James in 9th position.
Yeah, unfortunately, obviously, as we did say, very lucky I have been proven wrong. No safety car. We did have the VSC on lap 4.
I know.
Saw a few people dive in. But yeah,
This
those
is,
gaps at the end, they were new game, but yeah, very, very split up.
I'm very surprised because this track by the way, this track in real life has 100% safety cars, and we didn't see a safety car, and it's the BUSR.
I know,
So
the one place where you could almost
incredible.
guarantee one.
Well, that's going to be a celebration for Newt winning the race for round 2 of the Summer Championship, and we're going to see Assassin in second and Ali in third, rounding
Yeah,
out the podium positions.
yeah, great to see. Obviously, first win for Mika. Absolutely incredible race from him. Ali, new podium sitter overall for the event, I believe, too. See our point system. And there's Assassin. I don't know if it's his first podium. I do believe so. But they are just
That's
jumping into the debrief.
it's absolutely fantastic for Assassin there. Joining the likes of various drivers, and we've already celebrated a new podium sitter, of course, in Real F1 with Nico Hulkenberg.
Uh,
But absolutely fantastic to see. And biggest shock, Wooly getting a DNF, honestly giving up at the end of that race after having numerous incidents. And unfortunately for them, will be getting overall seventh in terms of points for this round, and not the best result they'd be wanting.
Now, as I said, with that DNF, obviously, has helped us win in the sprint race. That's actually only got half, half the effect it does in these points versus our point system. It's obviously still it's 10 for the win, 8 here, so it's slightly more points. It's only actually a fifth, as opposed to a third of the full points.
Not what they would be hoping. Well, we will be after the debrief probably having some interviews, probably with our podium drivers, but I think overall perspective, that wasn't too bad of a race, considering it is Jeddah.
No, exactly. Yeah, very clean. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed commentating it. I hope you say the same. But yeah, we had the odd battle, but I think it was a lot calmer than I was expecting.
Yeah, and I think drivers getting cleaner, which I think has been interesting. I've casted a couple of our F1 series, and I've seen much more
Is this just because I'm not on the grid
carnage.
anymore?
Absolutely, and I think it's good to see. It's good to see some actual racing, and I think Jeddah being definitely one of those circuits where you're at such high speed. It's the second fast in terms of average top speed, only faster in Monza. So definitely one of those tracks that, if you make a mistake, it's going to be big. And we saw there already a couple of big incidents in terms of individuals crashing out, and I
More
mean,
importantly,
if anything, spins.
yeah, more importantly, it's not just that it's high speed in the straights, high speed in the corners as well, which means you are trapped on that single line. Two wides, incredibly rare. But when we did see it, boy, did they make it work.
Yeah. And I'd also say, guys, thank you to our partners, of course, with GridFinder, SimStuff, and Traction.dg. Go and check them out for your various sim racing needs. At the moment, we are just still waiting for our people to get out a debrief, but I think definitely the ones to think about. I think it's very unfortunate for Jamie. Jamie showed the pace, but in the end, only got fifth in the sprint race and did not finish the race at all. So I'm very surprising for a driver of such pace. I find it very unfortunate for them to actually get across the line. Well, not in this case.
Yeah. Looks like we've just got the two interviews today. So if we start with that's in. If I just drag him in for us.
Well,
Hello.
hello, Assassin. And is this your first podium?
I don't think it's my first. I think I've got one a couple of years ago,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
but
Okay.
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Um, Firstly, obviously it's second race on the new game. How are you finding it?
To be honest, much better than the last. It's a good improvement. Let's put it that way. I'll be somewhat neutral and say it's fun to play at least.
Fun to play. We'll go with that. Yeah, in terms of the race, obviously think you pitted under the VSC at the start. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
I was paying attention. And then chasing down. How was it attacking?
It's a good feeling to attack. I've done some practice and thought an aggressive 2-stop could work, and that was always the plan. But the only problem was I think the VSC was just a little bit too early, so the offset wasn't the biggest by the time I went onto the second set of hard. But it was good fun to be the shark chasing them down.
I'm gonna ask, was P2 ever on the cards? Do you think, or was the win ever on the cards?
I wanted to think so because I thought the hards would be better than the mediums, and they proved to be the better tyre. I was catching at quite the rate of knots at the end, but yeah, it was a struggle, especially for that last stint.
Yeah, just run out of laps.
Yeah, to be honest, that was all it was. I was lucky when I can't remember who it was. The other McLaren got the wing damage.
Oh, was that what it was?
According to the race engineer, anyway, they were carrying some light wing damage.
Bit,
so
yeah.
that helped gaining.
We were watching them hovering around about the 2 seconds, and it dropped back. Then it still stabilized again at the 4.
Yeah, I think overall, well done for getting second, of course, in that race. I think how did it feel going with that 2-stop strategy compared to some of your competitors that were running that single stop?
I found it a little bit nicer, which was my thought for doing it, because obviously tyre wear around here was quite vigorous, and you realise as soon as you start going longer on the stints, the rear end becomes looser and looser and looser. So I thought the 2-stop allows you to be nearly constantly pushing the entire race. So it's a bit knackering to do, but it's a good strategy because you can really just keep pushing the entire time.
Well, awesome to hear. Well, congratulations on your second place, and enjoy your podium after so long, it sounds like.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Very much. Right, if we drag in our race winner, any bets whether who will be mid-conversation?
We're going to find out.
Okay. Mika, congratulations. First win in the BUSR.
Thank you. It's very unexpected. I kind of thought that it was on after Josh broke his front wing on lap 1, but then he was still faster than me in the straight, so I just couldn't overtake him. And then it got to, I don't know what lap it was, but the VSC came out, and he pitted, and at that point I knew he was on the 2-stop, so I kind of thought at that point I could just calm down a bit and just try not to hit anything, which is why my pace was awful.
You say awful. We were watching the stint timers. He wasn't gaining in that second stint to you at all. Was
Really?
hovering at 23 seconds. So
that's unexpected.
You say the pace was bad. You were leading and fairly on pace. So
that's good to know. I was I didn't get a single warning the entire race because of how slow I felt I was going. So
I guess slow is fast in this case.
It was, to be fair, the setup that me and Josh were running, it's a setup where you kind of just have to let the car do what it wants, because if you try to fight it, it will just spit you off into a wall. But it was really risky at the end. The tyres felt absolutely awful, but somehow made it.
Assassin was coming at you in the last few laps. Was there any concern looking back at him, or just head down for that?
I knew my teammate was going to be a bit of a buffer. So I knew that he'd have a bit of, he'd take a bit of time getting past him, because I was telling my teammate not to let him pass.
McLaren team orders, hey?
I think maybe if it was like 3 or 4 laps, it would have been risky, but I felt like I had the pace to win it regardless.
I guess regardless of papaya rules, I think done relatively well. I think the thing that was probably the most pinch point was pitting. When you have, of course, you have a teammate, you can't really double stack. How did it feel, going for that undercut, and how did you felt at the time, thinking, was that going to work?
I knew the undercut's really powerful in this game, so even a 1-lap undercut is worth multiple seconds. And because I was the one in front, I knew that I basically had the freedom to pit when I wanted. And lap 13 is around the lap where you want to put onto the mediums. And I knew that he could take the hards another lap because the tyre wear wasn't actually that bad. But when he came out 3 seconds behind, I knew I had a bit of a buffer that I didn't have to worry about. So I was quite happy seeing the 3-second gap, and especially when it didn't change over the course of like 10 laps. I was quite happy with that.
Yeah, obviously, Assassin has told us he did pick up just a little bit of damage there towards the end, and hence why Assassin did get past and break away a little bit easier. But yes, congratulations, obviously, first win, I think fourth podium, I want to say, fourth, fifth podium.
I think it's the 5th one now.
Yeah, something like that. But first win, hopefully we'll see a lot more from you.
I don't know about wins, but maybe podium.
We want to see the wins, man. We want to see the wins.
You're
If,
accumulating the virtual.
if Tom is racing, it's not happening.
Well, you're accumulating the virtual trophy cabinet well, I guess, and hopefully to more of it. Congratulations on your win, and we'll see how it goes later on in the season.
Thank you so much.
Very much, guys. Right, so yes, our championship leader there, Mika, with fourth, fifth-ish in the first round, and then obviously the win tonight here, and second in the sprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, quiet little championship it is.
Yeah, and I think Josh making those mistakes, putting him further down the order, that is going to hurt a little bit, and especially with people like we saw with New earlier, or Mika, that's going to be helpful. Definitely down the line with 3 more rounds to go, and I need to have a look what the next round is going to be.
Yeah, so eight round championship. It's nice long, but yeah, next round is Japan, Suzuka. So again, another driver's track. I think we'll see a fairly wide gap in qualifying, but hopefully nice close racing.
Well, it's awesome to hear, and as we said before, thank you to our partners at Grid Finder, Sim Staff, and Traction.gg. Go check them out for your sim racing needs. And thank you for Cam for helping us produce and at such short notice. So thank you very much. And my voice hasn't died yet, so I'm very surprised. I'm a little bit throaty, as you can tell. So we got through it, and looks like most of the drivers got through Jeddah. So it's good to hear. Thank you very much, and have a good evening wherever you are in the world, and have a good